What's going on, everybody? American Football Network here with another video today. And today we are bringing you guys our Oklahoma Sooners preview and prediction video. But before we get started, make sure you guys like and subscribe, comment your thoughts and opinions down below. Help me reach that goal of 1,400 subs by the end of July. We're about 80 away, so let's get rolling on that. Check out the description for links to our shop, podcast, website, patron page, and our college football roundup channel. And we appreciate all you guys tuning in. We're running these videos all the way through August 21st, team predictions. So, yeah, we're excited for it. And we hope y'all are enjoying them. But today we have Oklahoma. So let's go ahead and jump in to the Sooners and what this upcoming season is going to hold for them. So this will be their first year in the SEC as them and Texas make the jump from the Big 12 to the SEC. Last year they went 10-3 overall, 7-2 in the Big 12, 10-2 in the regular season. They lost the Alamo Bowl to Arizona, 38-24. Had a decent amount of opt-outs in that game. So I look at recruiting. Their top 10 commitments, all big-time guys, all 4 stars. Plus their top guy was their only 5-star, David Stone, on the D line. Expect him to have a pretty good season this year, as he's the big dog in this recruiting class for them. When you look offensively, they only returned 2 starters: the running back Gavin Sawchuk and wide receiver Jalil Farouk. And defensively, they return 6 starters. They lose the entire defensive line. They bring back, well, they keep Ethan Downs at defensive ends, but lose the other 3 guys. Then you look, they bring back both linebackers, Danny Stutzman, the big dog, on that defense for them. And then you got Jaron Canuck, Gentry Williams, and Billy Bowman back at in the secondary, as well as Dasan McCullough. And you got some pretty good guys that are going to be filling in. Kendall Dolby and Woody Washington in the secondary. I think Trace Ford and DeJoun Terry are very good guys up on the D line for them. And then you got Peyton Bowen, the true freshman from last year, who committed to about 8 different schools before finally settling on Oklahoma. He will be returning, and I expect him to have a pretty good sophomore season back there for Oklahoma safety. And when you look at this team, they lose a ton of offensive pieces, and you look defensively, they're really solid defensively. The problem I see for this team is that offensive line. I don't know how good that offensive line is going to be. I think that I think that the offensive line could end up potentially being pretty bad for them. Big name for him offensively is Jackson Arnold at quarterback. He's going to be filling in. Also, Casey Thompson is the backup quarterback for them. A guy who's been around, was at Texas, I believe. Yeah, was at Texas before, and then I think it was I think it was FAU he was at. It was either FAU or FIU. Yeah, FAU that he was at, and now he's with Oklahoma. So he's a guy he's been in the game for a little bit. He's been a part of the Oklahoma Texas rivalry as well, and been a part of a top tier program like this with Texas. Was actually a very good quarterback for them for a few seasons. So that is good to have his leadership back there as well. But I expect Arnold to be the starter for the season. Um, but you look at this team; they have some pieces to be a very solid team. The problem I see for them, like I said, is that offensive line. I just don't know how that offensive line is going to hold up. But let's go ahead and jump into their schedule and see what I have them going this year. So week 1, start out Temple at home. That's a win. Temple just doesn't have the talent to compete with Oklahoma, and I mean that's pretty obvious. Week 2, you get Houston at home. Houston, a pretty bad team in the Big 12, and I don't expect Oklahoma to have any problems here with this one. I have this down as a win. Next up, 3 home games in a row to start the season. They get Tulane at home. This could be a bit of a sneaky game. Tulane has been pretty solid the last 2 seasons, but they don't have Pratt at quarterback anymore. They've lost some pieces, a good amount of pieces since those teams the last 2 seasons that have done really well. And 2 years ago, beat Oklahoma in a New Year's Six Bowl and the Cotton Bowl. So I don't think Oklahoma will have any trouble with this, but Tulane could be a sneaky team to give Oklahoma a decent game in this one. But like I said, I don't expect any problems. I think Oklahoma wins this one pretty handily. Then you get your first real test, your first SEC game on your schedule this year, and this is against the Tennessee Volunteers at home. Make it 4 home games to start the season. And I have Oklahoma winning this game as well. I think the biggest key for me in this game is just defensively for the Sooners. I think that they just have what it takes. This is going to be a home game for them, so it's going to be tough for Tennessee to come in there. It'll be a tough environment for them. When you look at this defense that Oklahoma has, especially with Brent Venables at head coach, he was the best defensive coordinator in the game for a while. Had a great run as DC at Oklahoma, then went to Clemson. Had a just historic run as defensive coordinator there. A lot of records and stuff he broke. His defenses broke there, and now he is the head coach at Oklahoma. So being coached by Brent Venables, they're going to have a pretty tight defense over there. So I expect the defense to do well, and I think that's going to be the difference in the game for them. I think Oklahoma's offense is going to be able to put up some points, but I think that defense is what's going to win them this game. Then you get your first road game of the season and your first conference road game in the SEC when Oklahoma goes on the road to face Auburn. And I have this game as a win. I think that Auburn is a solid team. Um, I think that they're a team who knows what they're going to end up doing this season. They could I see them finishing anywhere from 6-6 to 10-2. I've already done their video. You guys can check that out. But I think that Oklahoma is the better football team in this game. I think that they will have the better quarterback. They'll definitely have the better defense. And I think with Sawchuk in the backfield, really regardless of what the offensive line looks like, as long as it's not atrocious and just bottom 20 in college football, I think that Oklahoma will also have the better run game in this game. Now, with that being said, Auburn will have the better running back. But I think that when you look at in Jarquez Hunter, I mean, he's a dog. He's the better running back by far. But when you look at Auburn's defense, I think Oklahoma's gonna have a little bit of a better time, easier time stopping Hunter than Auburn is gonna have stopping Sawchuk. So I think that Oklahoma has the right mix to win this football game. I think they're better basically all across the board. They're definitely more talented than Auburn is, and so I have this game down as a win for them. Then you get a bye week. Then you face your rivalry in the Red River Showdown in Dallas. You get the Texas Longhorns. I have this game as a loss. You beat them last year 34-30 to revenge the 49 to nothing game the year before. But I think you lose this game this year. I just think Texas is too good. Now, Texas is a bit of a question as well as they lose their top 2 outside receivers and their running back. But for me, it's Quinn Ewers in this game. He's just the better quarterback. And I mean, obviously, Texas has replaced all that talent that they've lost on the outside. They've got talented guys as they bring in Isaiah Bonds from Alabama, who might be um, the one of the best wide receivers in the SEC. He might be the best in the SEC when the season is said and done. But they've got the guys back there to do it. And Jaden Blue and C.J. Baxter played great at running back for them once Brooks went down. So I don't think that'll be a problem. The one thing that does worry me a little bit with Texas is this defense, but they do pick up some good pickups even after the guys that they lost, particularly safety Andrew Makuba, bringing him in. And you look at a guy like Anthony Hill Jr., who was the second leading tackler for him last year. He's back middle linebacker for him for his sophomore season. And so I think this Texas team is gonna be okay, and I think that they're gonna be able to get the win against Oklahoma. Um, I don't think Oklahoma is gonna have quite enough offense and quite enough juice defensively to be able to stop them. Next up, you get the South Carolina Gamecocks. Interestingly enough, this is the first time in their history that these 2 teams will face. And I have Oklahoma getting the win here. I don't think South Carolina is very good. Oklahoma just has more talent, and it's a home game for them. I just don't see South Carolina being able to pull this one off. Now, with that being said, though, there is a lot of talk that Lenore Sellers, the freshman, quarterback for them is going to be just some prodigy prospect. If that comes true, then I mean, yeah, maybe we see that happen, and maybe we see that happen in South Carolina, be able to pull off the upset win over Oklahoma. But I think Oklahoma's the better football team. I think they have the better quarterback. I think they by far have the better defense and better coach. And so I think Oklahoma gets the win. Then they go on the road to Ole Miss. This is going to be a loss. Ole Miss might win the SEC this year, and Oklahoma is just not going to be able to stop that offense or keep up with them. They're just not going to be. I expect this to be a higher scoring game as Ole Miss, as we know, they tend to struggle with a defense. And I mean, they bring in some good transfers, they bring in some new pieces defensively, but I still don't know if they're going to have what it takes to to s- to beat this Ole Miss team. I just don't think Oklahoma will have the offense to do it because even though their defense is good, Ole Miss is still putting up 40 points on them. They're going to put up 30, 40 points on them. It's just going to happen. So I have that one down as a loss for Oklahoma. Then they get the Maine Black Bears. This is kind of a random matchup. It's going to be a win. They're going to kill them. Maine is not going to be able to compete with Oklahoma. They just don't have the talent. But interesting, they're going from Maine all the way down to Oklahoma to play. But yeah, Sooners win in this one, no question. Then they go on the road to Missouri. I have this one as a loss as well. Missouri, another team that very well could win the SEC. It's gonna be fun to watch this team. I think Eli Drinkwitz is doing a very good job at Missouri. They bring back Brady Cook. They bring back Luther Burden and 7 starters on that offense. They bring back all their receivers actually. Um, Only big piece they really lose on that offense is Schrader in the backfield. Um, and Marcus Carroll, is going to fill in for him, I would imagine. And I think that he's going to be, not as good as Schrader, obviously, but he's going to be good, good enough as a replacement. And I think that Brady Cook and Luther Burden duo combined with a pretty solid defense is going to be enough to get the job done against Oklahoma, especially since Sooners have to go on the road to Missouri. I think that will make it a little bit tougher. Um, but yeah, Missouri with the win over Oklahoma. Then you get another bye week. Then you face Alabama at home. I have this game as a loss. I think this is going to be a very tough, a very close, competitive game, but I do have Alabama edging them out. And like I said, in a tight one, I just think that Bama has a slightly better defense. And for me, it's just the system that DeBoer is going to run. I feel like he's going to be able to draw plays up to attack the weaknesses of Oklahoma's defense and score points. Whereas I don't think Oklahoma has a guy on their coaching staff is offensively talented as Caleb DeBoer. Now, I think that with Venables and his adjustments that he makes, it's not going to be much flying. That's why I think it's going to be a bit of a lower scoring game, somewhere in the 20s maybe, and a lot of punts in this game. I would imagine as both defenses are really good, but I think it will be a tight game within single digits. But I do think Alabama will pull out the win. Then you go on the road to LSU. And this is a game I really struggled on picking, but I am going to go with the Tigers in this one. I think that they're going to be able to pull out the victory over Oklahoma. To me, when you look at LSU, they got 2 quarterbacks, Garrett Nussmeier and AJ Swan. I would imagine Nussmeier is going to start, but who knows who will fill in for who will fill in for Jaden Daniels. Was blanking on his name. Sorry for Jaden Daniels on this LSU team. But you look at Nussmeier. He started in the bowl game last year against Wisconsin. He threw for 395 yards. He even led LSU on a 98-yard drive, game-winning drive to beat Wisconsin 35-31 last year. So this is probably the most talented team that Brian Kelly's had since he's took over LSU. They returned their whole offensive line other than the center. Now that is being replaced by a true freshman, so that could be a problem. But by the end of the season, they're going to have it all locked down. And I just think that LSU has too much talent, and I just think at the end of the day, LSU has the game changer um, on defensively, and Harold Perkins, he's going to wreak havoc against against Oklahoma, especially if this offensive line is not very good, like some people think. So I think he's really the difference maker in this game, and I think that again it'll be a closer game, but it'll be one that Oklahoma comes up just short in. So I have the Sooners going 7-5 this year. I don't think that's a terrible season for them. You know, it's going to take a bit to get adjusted into the into the SEC. But I do think that they will definitely improve, and I don't think they're going to be bad next year. I just think that they play a tough schedule. There's some teams that are better than them on there, and you know it's still going to be a good season for Oklahoma, and they're just going to continue to improve and continue to get better as they're in the SEC more. But that wraps up today's video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we will